If your goal as a chiropractor is to grow your practice and you feel like you're struggling, you feel like you're stuck, you feel like you're taking way too much time with people, you feel like people are coming in because of just pain relief and they're not sticking around, you feel like you're not getting enough new patients, you are having a hard time building your team, you're just having a hard time getting past the level that you're at. You may grow a little bit, but then you just regress the next month. So, this video is going to talk about just a high level overview of what you need to do to build your practice to seven figures. Well, what does that mean? 7 steps to a seven-figure practice. And a seven-figure practice is a practice that's collecting on average $83,000 a month. And if you collect $83,000 a month over 12 months, you have $1 million practice, a seven-figure practice. So these are 7 steps to get your mind and your systems going in the right direction. And we're going to have to obviously spend some time to build on each of these 7 steps to make sure that you're getting the right results and you're putting the right things in place to get those results. So here we go. So the first thing to build a seven-figure practice is really number one, and that is define your vision. You really have to define your vision. You have to know exactly who you are, what you're delivering. And when you know exactly who you are and what you're delivering in chiropractic, then you can define your ideal patient. So, ideal patient avatar. And this is so vital, so important. Let me give you an example. If you want to promote a high level family practice and you want to see a lot of kids, but your marketing is only attracting older men with back pain, that's incongruent. You're not going to build the practice of your dreams if things are not in line. If you're not a good adjuster of babies and children, but you want to build a children's practice or a pediatric practice or a family practice, there's an incongruency. So we need to start to think about what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are, put the right systems in place to obviously promote those strengths, build on our weaknesses so that we can obviously start to grow and not have constraints in the growth. So define your vision and your ideal patient avatar. And that is obviously establishing a clear mission for your practice and identify your ideal patient demographic. If you want to build a high level practice where people come and stay for the long term, long after their symptoms are gone, then there's certain things that have to be put into place. We have to start talking differently. We have to create a culture in our office. So we're going to start to look at the things that and identify the things that we're doing that are incongruent. And I love that word because congruency is the biggest and most important aspect of growing a seven-figure practice. So we need to ensure our practice is in alignment with our goals. Step two, well, step two is we want to cultivate a growth-oriented mindset. And we're going to adopt this mindset focused on continuous improvement and resilience. So as we grow, there's always going to be new challenges. And we look at these challenges as opportunities because we want to be able to get past them. It's really important to start to accept the fact that for us to grow, we need to invest in our practice. We need to invest in ourself to grow our own mindset, grow our own skill set so that we can have the tools to grow. And we need to invest in our team. That's very, very important. So we need to have this growth mindset. And that is very important. You can't grow $1 million practice if you don't have a growth mindset. You may need to make some sacrifices. I remember when I was growing my practice and we got to the point where we were seeing a lot of people, but we couldn't seem to get to the next level. But I had to look at my own life and say, okay, well, I was at the time spending 3 days a week on the golf course. And when you're at the golf course, you're spending 5, 6 hours, sometimes longer a day at the golf course. And I thought, as much as I love golf, if I really want to serve people, I really want to transform lives, and I want to see my practice grow and serve the community, I need to make some changes. So I decided just to give golf a break for a while. And I focused those hours on working on my practice to help that practice grow. Step number three is we need to develop a strategic business plan. Well, what does that mean? We want to craft a real comprehensive business plan that focuses on our ability to serve our community and get results for our patients. Obviously, our biggest promotion of our growth is getting good results for people. If you're not transforming lives, if you're not able to help people, then people are just not going to talk about you. In fact, you're going to get a bad reputation and it's going to hurt you. So we need to be good at what we do. So maybe we need to invest in some seminars that are going to teach us different techniques or different strategies on how to serve people in a bigger way. And what we need to do is we need to create a conversion process. So this is part of the strategic business plan. So we're going to develop a strategic business plan. Strategic business plan. And that involves developing a conversion process. Well, whether you like this term or not, conversion process really means sales. And I want to just try to identify this for you for a second because a lot of people, when, especially chiropractors, we start talking about sales, we cringe a little bit. It's something that's very uncomfortable for us. We don't want to sell anything because we have this mindset that when we're selling something, we're doing something to somebody. We're trying to convince them to buy something that they really don't need. But I want to just change your mindset on that because if we really truly know that chiropractic can really change the world, if we know that chiropractic can save lives, if we know that once people understand the principle of chiropractic and they get that in their mind, we totally change their paradigm. We change the way that they think. We help them make good choices towards their health that are going to promote full expression of life and longevity. When we sell chiropractic to those people, if we truly own those facts, we do it for them, and people need to hear it. So it's a travesty if you have something good and you know that you can change somebody's life and you're not doing everything you can to help them to see that or help them to understand the purpose of that and make a decision to be a patient in your office, you're not serving them. So we need to start getting really good at educating people and creating this conversion, quote unquote, sales process so people can understand why they're coming into your office. So this conversion process is very important. So it's designed to educate, motivate, and inspire patients beyond symptom relief. If you have a pain-based practice, if you're still doing orthopedic tests and you're making assessments on people on how they recover, they don't need more care or they don't need as much care because they're feeling better, you're not going to build $1 million practice. It just will not happen. People's mindset need to be changed into corrective type of care. They need an understanding of why the subluxation process, why what you do with a chiropractic adjustment changes their neurology, allows them to have a body that has no interference, allows the brain to communicate with all of the different cells, tissues, and organs of the body without interference so that they can have full expression of life. When they start to understand that, pain not it doesn't matter. It's not going to matter. They're not going to make decisions based on how they're feeling. Because when you think of it, when patients come into your office in a pain mindset, they've already got a predetermined notion of how long they're going to stay. Whether you believe that or not, it's happening. Because what happens is, if they think it's going to take 2 weeks or 3 weeks for that pain to go away, if it goes away within those 3 weeks, they're going to quit. They don't have a need in their mind to stay any longer than the pain relief. And if the pain doesn't go away in those 3 weeks, they're going to quit. So we need to have the systems, the conversion process in place to help to educate them about why regular chiropractic care is only good for their whole life, their whole existence here on earth. So way beyond symptom relief. So we're going to create care plans that are congruent. So if our education system and our care plans are congruent with what we're trying to promote, then we can start to convert their mindset, change their paradigm, and we then get retention. And retention is the biggest thing to grow $1 million practice. retention. You want to get patients in the door, educate them, get them to commit to care, and stay for the long term, stay for their lifetime, bring their family in. That's going to really make the difference over the long term. Okay, so the next thing, number four, we're going to go down to number four, and number four is establish standard operating procedures. So SOPs, and you hear business talk about SOPs. So SOP is a standard operating procedure. Standard operating procedure. And this is really important. This is really the systems in your office. So your mindset, the idea of what you want to deliver, how you want to deliver chiropractic, your ideal patient avatar, putting the right systems in place and the right education in place, and then everything that happens on every certain visit, that's your standard operating procedure. So, in other words, what happens when a new patient comes in on day one? What does your staff say to them? What questions do they ask? Do they get a tour of your office? What's said during that tour? When you do your exam and history, what are you asking them? What type of questions? What type of education are you doing? What exactly are you doing in that exam? Does your exam procedures, are they consistent and congruent with the message that you're trying to get? Are you starting to accumulate some objective findings that go beyond pain relief? Okay, so these are all things we want to put into our practice to make sure everything is congruent, they're getting the right message, and we have a system of delivery to deliver chiropractic that is measurable, that is predictable, and we can expect a certain outcome. And once you have that, then you can put this all together in a plan. The other thing that's important with standard operating procedures is that it gives your team a guideline. And when your team has a guideline and systems in place, there's a lot less chaos. So many offices that I see are so chaotic, and the team is pulling their hair out, and they're nowhere near as busy as they could be because it just the office just doesn't run on any type of systems at all. You're making it up as you go. So there's no consistent delivery of your care. There's no consistent message. The team is working way too hard. You're repeating things that could be done systematically. So putting these systems in place is only going to give your team a lot more free time to do other things that are going to help you grow and make their life so much easier. So training on these standard operating procedures is very important. So we have to put in regular trainings to keep growing. All right, step number five. Step number five is we want to build that team. Once we have the standard operating procedures in place, we want to build and lead a high performing team. So we want to recruit team members that can jump onto our vision. The first thing I look for in team members is their attitude, their personality. Are they someone that brings energy into the room? And you know, there's two types of people. There's somebody that brings energy into the room, and there's somebody that sucks the energy out of the room. So I look for people that, as part of my team, that bring energy into the room. I want their energy. Everybody is trainable. So I'm less worried about experience. I don't care if somebody has any chiropractic background or knows anything about chiropractic or has worked with a chiropractor before. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me and what's important is that that person is energetic and they can bring some level of positivity and optimism into the room. So we want to recruit team members who really align with our practice's values and our culture. And that's really what we want to do, is develop its culture. So the most important thing that I want to do with my team is I want to share my vision. If I have this big vision of seeing my community healthy and well, if I want my community to understand the principle of chiropractic, that subluxation is the biggest killer on the face of the planet, that medications only suppress the body's ability to take care of itself, and they're only a symptomatic relief. That's all medications do, is that they suppress or enhance certain chemical reactions in our body to achieve a desired symptomatic result, but at the expense of really damaging the body's ability to take care of itself. So we want to make sure that we're getting people off medication. If I can share that vision with my team and they can buy into that, we create an unstoppable force, and we're just going to continue to grow if they buy into that vision. So I want to create a living document, which is my team manual. So we're going to, number five, we're going to build a team, and we're going to share vision, and we're going to create a manual. And how do you do that? Well, seems like a daunting task. It's not. All I do, and I would say this is the easiest way to get started. Have a staff meeting, and maybe it's just you and one team member, maybe it's a couple team members. Ask your members to write down everything they do during certain situations. So in other words, can you please write down in, and I would set it up in a Google document so you can all share it, and the team members write down what they do and say on day one. And then they write down what they do and say on day two. They write down what they do and say on a phone call. They write down what they do and say when they present a care plan or they take payments from people. They write down what they do and say when they're preparing for a re-examination. So there's all these things that can be written down in this living document, and the doctor would do the same thing. These are the things that the doctor does and says during an initial exam. These are the tests that a doctor would perform during the initial exam. And these are important for the team to know. If everybody in the office knows what's being said and what's being done by each of the other team members, then the team can have some cohesiveness. And when you have cohesive team and everybody understands the vision and the direction and the execution and delivery of your care, that's when things start to fall into place. So we really want to create this manual that's very consistent across the board for everybody. And the other thing with team is that not only do we want to inspire them to be part, to join this vision and have this vision in their heart and a fire in their belly to grow, but we want to be able to reward them as well. So rewarding them with some level of or bonus, profit sharing or bonus is really, really important. So that's what we're going to do. So uh, having that bonus structure in place is, again, absolutely vital for your team. Step number six. So this is step number six of the 7 steps to build the $1 million practice. We're going to implement effective marketing strategies. And why is that? Well, you can be the best chiropractor in your province, best chiropractor in your state, best chiropractor in your country, but if nobody knows who you are or what you do, it's all for naught. You're not going to get busy. You're not going to build a $1 million practice, or a 7-figure practice. So the marketing strategies are vital. Well, how do we put in marketing strategies? Well, the first thing is marketing strategies need to be congruent. And I see this all the time. And this is one of the biggest failures for chiropractic office is that we just start doing some marketing strategies that don't educate our patients or portray us as something different than what we're trying to deliver. For example, if you're trying to build a lifetime wellness care pediatric practice, but you're doing pain-based ads about lumbar disc injuries or lower back pain, guess what? You're going to attract probably some middle age or older men through those ads that are going to come into your practice wanting pain relief. It's going to take you away from the practice that you're trying to deliver. So our strategies need to be very intentional to attract and educate the people that we want to attract. There's really 4 levels or 4 directions of marketing in your office. So number one is internal organic marketing. And what does that mean? Well, internal organic marketing is marketing we don't necessarily pay for. This is creating a referral strategy for your current patients. It might be a gift certificate, it might be an affiliate program, or giving them some incentive like an award for bringing in referrals. So anything that you can do to create a program to stimulate referrals is, again, really important. Asking patients for video testimonials. That's another way to really build your internal practice, internal organic marketing. We used to have a camera set up in a corner of an adjusting area. It was an old iPhone on a tripod, and anytime somebody had a great response or a great relief, some sort of big win from an adjustment, we would say, hey, would you mind doing a quick little video testimonial? I don't think I ever got one no. And we've just asked them a couple of questions, turn the camera on, and let them talk for 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And we accumulated literally thousands of video testimonials, which we used on a TV reel in our office. And we would constantly play them in our office so other patients could see it. And we also used them in our ads and our landing pages as well. So internal organic. So number two is internal paid. So these are things like maybe paid talks. Maybe we do a dinner. We might do a dinner talk and we invite people either into our office and get a caterer, or we take them out to a restaurant, or maybe we arrange a hall and a caterer out in a hall, and we might go do an advanced talk while we serve them dinner. And that's a great way for them to bring guests, to bring family members who maybe are not patients of our office, and it creates a great culture as well. It creates excitement, it's energetic, it's a way of giving back to your patients to make sure that you're giving them all the tools and information to make great health decisions. So, internal paid events are really important and very, very helpful. Number three is external organic. Well, what is that? Well, this could be something where you volunteer to go do a talk. You might go do a talk at a church, you might do a talk at a support group. Maybe you go to a high school and talk to the kids about chiropractic or careers. You may go join a sports team. You may become a chiropractor for a sports team, or you may go to a homeless shelter and adjust people at the homeless shelter for no cost. So there's ways to get your name out there and market yourself totally organically without putting any money into it outside of your office. So those are some good suggestions there. And then the last one is external paid. External paid marketing. So this would be something where maybe you go do a lunch and learn. You might talk to a company and bring their employees lunch and then do maybe a 15 to 30-minute health talk. It could be a talk on nutrition where you tie in the importance of nerve function. It could be just a talk on ergonomics. So that's a nice way to do it. Um, you could partner with a church and do a makeover. And maybe you spend some money on getting all kinds of different vendors there, make it a health fair. You could do something where you're actually giving a lot of handouts and a lot of giveaways at this makeover. Maybe even charge some money for a ticket. It might be $10 a ticket or $20 a ticket to come, and you spend a few hours on a Saturday or maybe a weeknight where people can come out and come to this health fair, come to this makeover. And then there's other things that you can do outside as well. So which might be you might buy a booth at a mall or buy a booth at a home show and go and do a screening and educate people on spinal posture and nervous system function at a screening. Maybe you have bilateral scales or you're using a nerve scan at a screening to teach people about chiropractic and about the importance of a well-aligned spine and functioning nervous system. And then most importantly is spending money on an online presence. So spending money on your website, updating your website regularly, spending money on your social media posts, or having a staff member at least keep up with those social media posts, and actually spending money on online advertising. And again, creating a strategy for online advertising. This is something that we do directly for our clients to position you as an expert in your community, at somebody who removes the interference from the nervous system and allows the full expression of life. You are not a treater of pain. There's not, I mean, there's hundreds, hundreds of other practitioners who treat pain. There's other chiropractors, there's massage therapists, there's physiotherapists, there's medical doctors, there's naturopaths. They all treat pain. And in the public's mind, why would you be any different if you're not going to reposition yourself? They look at you as a treater of pain. But if you can do strategic marketing that positions you as somebody who's unique, as somebody who does something different, then the public looks at that and says, this person's different. This is resonating with me. This is what I want. And that's how you identify yourself as being truly unique, and you start to create a tribe, you start to create a following. So this is really important for your online marketing, and that's something that if you're interested in finding out more and you would like to book a call, I leave a link below in the description, and you can book on my calendar and book a call and just talk about some strategies for your online marketing to help position you as that type of doc. And then the last thing that we want to do is as we start to grow, number 7, we want to monitor the growth. So this is really vital. You don't know where you're going unless you're monitoring your growth. And the big thing here is that when we start to attract people into our office, whether it's through referrals or marketing, and we've got our systems in place, our teams on fire, we have a vision, we have a clear definition of what we're delivering in chiropractic and who our ideal patient avatar is. Now we want to create a culture of retention. And that means a culture where people love coming. If you don't have a culture in your office, if you're having a hard time retaining people, it's because people get bored. They get bored and they end up looking for something else. They ask themselves, why am I wasting the time coming here? It's not fun for me. I feel fine. I'll put it off till I get sore again because they really don't fully get it. So, putting things in place to create this culture and then monitoring the growth, again, is very important. I've left a couple of links for keeping stats. There's a video if you want to know how to keep stats in your office. This is a basic way to keep stats to monitor your growth. There's a video that talks about that, and there's a couple of links for documents for a new patient tracker and a monthly stat log. And keeping those stats on a monthly basis, I had a team member do this, so I didn't do it, but she was fantastic at it. And she updated the stats every day. So any day I could go to her and ask her, how many patients have been in this month, how many of them have converted, how many made it to their first re-exam, how many dropped off. We would know exactly where the bottlenecks were, and we could see through those tracking messages, through those tracking stat details, we could see where people were dropping off. And this was huge for our growth because if we saw a pattern that people weren't getting from their initial day one to their day two, and there was a big drop off there, well, guess what we're going to train on? We're going to train on the day one procedure, the handoff, the transition to day two, booking that day two, the day one phone call to that patient. We're going to train on all these things to make sure that we close the gap on that. So keeping stats is really important for your growth. So monitor your growth. So keep stats and create the culture. And it's a culture of energy. It's a culture of excitement. It's a culture of retention that people love coming to, love bringing their families to, and are excited to bring guests, family members, friends, referrals to as well. If this is something that resonates with you, there's a chance to book a link, or there's a link below that you can book a call with me and just have a discussion on your practice, where you're at, what your goals are, what you're struggling with, and I'd be happy to just give you some tips over the phone that you can implement right away. And if you'd like to look into some marketing or coaching growth partner strategies, we can talk about that as well. I'm Dr. Colin. Look forward to seeing you on the next video.